Disc Golf Podcast. I'm Shane.
And I'm JP.
All right. So, JP, in your life, who has been or what has been that moment that has given you an aha? And the reason why I say this is because we started this a little later because I went to this little presentation at our kids' school. And it was by a leadership coach. And I'm a goof when that comes to that stuff. I love listening to it. But he made me think about a time in my life or a person or something that influenced me in a very positive way. Or just maybe like change the course of my life in one way, shape, or form. It can be your mom, your dad, like it can be anybody. What is a moment in your life that represents that?
Man. I think college. I had a professor. His name was Carl Elder. He was my writing professor.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, his specialty was poetry, which like I was creative writing, so like I took a lot of poetry classes, kind of focused in that for creative writing. And my senior project was like I had to write like 20 poems or something like that.
Okay. And
I didn't get them in on time. Mm-hmm. So I asked for an extension and got that. And then I also worked on he had a quarterly publication where, I forgot what it was called, but I was like the editor at the time, and like he was the main person. So I was like assistant editor, like putting stuff together and everything. And it just, the way he challenged me to think creatively about writing, but like applying it to other aspects of my life. Like, because he taught another course that I took as like a J term, like a January term, and then like there's also May term. So I took 2 of his courses, and one of them was on teaching methods, and this was in the May term, and there was a lot of people in the education realm, like at school, and they were talking about learning from the books, blah, 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 and all this. Mm-hmm. And I was talking about learning more from experience, and they were applying what they had learned through classes that they had learned, and I was applying what I learned through life lessons rather than what I learned through books and stuff. So it was just, he thought it shaped like the way you like critically think in different, like applying that to different parts of your life, and just like with the way he organized things and went about teaching, and just it didn't have to be I was like, well, you can do this, and then well, kind of like we were just talking about, like you could lead into this, like you like expand off your plan, but you kind of leave it open ended because you never really know what it has, as long as you always get back to what the goal is, but without like procrastination and everything in between. Kind of situation.
Yeah. So how do you think that applies to your disc golf game in any way, shape, or form?
I would. Yes. Okay. So I don't know how many people have read the book Zen and the Art of Disc Golf. I have it at home and like read it many times, but I read that book, and it did kind of change the way I think about disc golf, like the outcomes of like the way things land, or like there's always something that, especially playing in the woods or wind or weather, whatever it is, that you just cannot plan for. And so this example the other day at the tournament we were at, Door County Fall Classic Sunday, I threw a shot on hole 11, which is this big downhill par 4. There's OB out on the left, but it kind of goes out to the left, and then OB on the right, but fairly wide fairways because it's a golf course. And I had every intention of throwing just an air shot down as far as I could. And I threw it, and it cut rolled, but it rolled down the hill to within 60 feet of the basket. I had an eagle look. Purely not intended, but I was like, this is awesome. This is an outcome that I like way more than what I was going to do.
Yeah.
And I think, unfortunately, what happened is it ended up hitting a golf cart because we're allowed to drive carts. And so somebody, like, I don't know if they ran it over or didn't see the disc, but it hit the cart. But, yeah, you just kind of rolling with the punches, and then just accepting the outcome for what it is rather than being disgruntled or whatever. You just have to be kind of neutral as to what the thing is, and then you go assess that situation and deal with it from there.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I really love that. And I think mine parallels yours. And I think I've said this on the podcast before. I think you probably heard the story if you've listened to the podcast, but I had a coach that told us one day we were all in the locker room complaining about how the refs were treating us, for the game. And he just came in and just super, super simple terms and very straightforward just said, if you don't want them to decide the game, work harder. Like play better, work harder. I mean, that's basically what it was.
Kind of take them out of deciding.
Take them out of the equation. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it parallels yours because I think over time I have learned through my life experience that it also doesn't matter how much you train. Just like you said, it doesn't, like those type of things, you can minimize the amount of, the amount of variables that are out there by training or by learning or by whatever it is that you're talking about. But you can never take them all away. There's always going to be something there that's going to push it off course or going to take a nasty cut roll or you're going to take a nasty, anti-skip that's going to push you out of bounds or whatever it may be. But you can't do anything about those. You've done your work. You've put in the time. You've thrown the disc how you've trained yourself to throw the disc. And once it hits the ground or once it leaves your hands, like it is what it is. I mean, if force of nature is the only thing that's going to stop that disc from doing what it's going to do. And then once it hits the ground, it is what it is. And so I think making sure that you do your due diligence to train what you need to train, learn what you need to learn, put the time and effort into making sure that your body or your mechanics or your mind is where it needs to be, and then just go out there and perform. And what happens after that is what happens after that. Don't let one of those little things like cut rolling and going within 60 feet of the pin, that's a fantastic outcome. But cut rolling and going out of bounds, don't let it ruin your round. You got another one. You've trained all this. You put all this time and effort into it. Let that speak for itself. Don't let that uncontrollable outcome control your thoughts.
Right.
Don't let your environment control your response. And I was just like, so when he said that, like all those things built up in me, like over years, and I didn't realize how powerful that statement was until one day it just like I don't want to snap too loud because the pop does.
Who are you referring to?
My coach. When he said that to me, yeah. When he said that to me, my coach, I was just like that. If you don't want someone to determine your outcome, just work harder. Just be that much better. And it all clicked kind of years later, So I kind of think that in disc golf too, like I will rarely get down on myself in disc golf. There are times where I'm like disappointed in my performance because I didn't prepare, but I know that everything is under my control. But once it released that disc, like you said, just having that ability to say, it is what it is, I'll play from where it lies.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's your kind of inspirational talk there. So if you want some more of that, I don't know if you can really look for it on these, but door_disc_golf, night_owl_pod. Those are our Instagram. And then doordisc.com. So you can find all your disc golf needs there. So talking about playing as it lies. Why do you suck?
Oh, boy. So talking about taking it as it, taking things for as they are as well. So yeah, like I just mentioned, we were at a tournament this weekend, and first round, weather was like a little windy,
a little cold,
and then by the second round, things got better. Sun was out, it was beautiful, and so I shot pretty well first round. I missed the island green. That was my first hole. It was this big downhill, like 240 yard. Not 240. 200.
That's a beast.
215 foot or 240 foot shot. So I missed the island green. So that was disappointing. I started out with
But hold on. Let's paint the picture, though. This isn't just an island green 215 feet away. This is an island green 215 feet away, but also probably 70 feet down, 60 feet down.
Easily. Yeah.
So there's an elevation change there. So it's not as easy.
No, it's not. Yeah. It's definitely not. You could definitely stall some discs out and if you're not playing the angles right in that thing. So I started out with a bogey there, and then I went on to birdie the next hole, and I played pretty well. I think I got first round. I had 6 birdies, 4 bogey. wait, is that? No, I was at -4. So I had 6 birdies, 2 bogeys, and the rest I was parring. I was feeling pretty good. And I get to our last hole, and it's a short, it is hole 14 on the course. It's the short 205-foot
Over the
throw
water.
over the water. And there was a right to left kind of head cross coming at us. I was like, 205 feet, not a problem. So I pull up my zone. I was going to play this bigger hyzer, like with some like, pretty hard throw just to like kind of get it towards the basket. And I ended up just kind of like putting it out over the water with like the tiniest amount of hyzer, and it just gets squashed into the water. I was like, ah. And there's no drop zone, so you have to re-tee. Mm-hmm. We were playing from the shorts at the time. I was like, okay, that's fine. I'm like, I know I can get over. So I pulled an MD5, Proto MD5, and I was like, same thing. I'm just going to do that. Boom. Squashed. Like, again, I was like, what am I doing here?
And the disc gets wet.
And yeah, so at that point, I'm shooting 4 from the tee, and I just pulled out a fairway driver to get it over. I was like, fine, whatever. Ended up like 75 feet away from the basket. Ended up missing my putt, which I like meant to lay up, and I got like another 20-foot comeback, or ended up making it. So I took a 7 on the hole, and that brought me back down to even for the round. And that was really disappointing at the time, because I would have been easily top 5, I think, at the time. Top 4 or 5 in rec at that time.
Right.
And leader was at -8. Mm-hmm. And I was like, dang, I've been pretty good. And that would have been, I think we would have all tied out our card. I think we were all at -4 going into the round, and I ended up, and then I dropped to 16th. And then, so that was kind of it. And then next round I played better, like conditions got better, and got -6. But I was just disappointed, because if I had that -4 from the round before, I would have gotten into the top 5, and that'd been pretty decent.
Yeah, that would have been one of your better finishes in tournament.
I think last year at the same tournament I got 5th or 6th. But yeah, I mean, I don't play enough. That's my thing, is I just don't. But I know the course well enough from playing it for 5-6 years, whatever it's been, that
I could just go 7th year.
Yeah, I missed the first year, so yeah. Okay. I mean, you can just go. I can look at holes, or I can remember holes off the top of my head and be like, oh yeah, this is that, and just know what I got through.
Yeah, there's very few changes that have been made over the years. We added 3 holes. 1 year, and we put them in the meadow.
And I miss those holes. I like those holes.
I did too, but they started doing all the, all the construction
so we kept there. We kept 2. There's the one that's like between 2. It's 2A, like the little one that goes up to the tee box, and then the longer one.
There's still 3. We still kept the 3. So we have the 2A, and then there was, 6A, which is that real long one. The one that hugs the right-hand side of the fairway after you throw over the orchard. There's that one.
Yes.
And then there's the
forgot about that one.
Real long one coming 13. Away from the road.
13. Yeah.
Yeah. So we put 3 back on the course, but yeah, it's a beautiful course. Like, this is going to sound really bad. I mean, I know Mike really likes Camelot, and I know he's re-listening to all these, but I don't think there's a better setting for disc golf in Wisconsin. I mean, especially this year with the way the colors were.
Yeah,
and
it was really pretty.
The clubhouse, and I mean, the orchards are so welcoming to us.
I will say, though, this year was one of the better years, because we've had rain, we've had sleet.
We've had it all.
We've had it all.
We've had it all. Like, it's usually we get a good year, a bad year, a good year, a bad year. It's kind of how it goes.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it seems like
because last year was really windy. Like,
last year
really
was
windy.
Super windy. Last year was a year that I don't remember why I did. Oh, I didn't play just because I had responsibilities in the tournament. Yeah. So, and I was trying to figure out the best way to say that without offending anybody. I had responsibilities in the tournament, so I couldn't play that day. So I haven't played the last 2 years on that course. And actually, this year I didn't throw a single disc on that course. Not even when we were setting it up and everything. Wow. I just didn't. I don't know why. But we did get to play. Saturday I got to play, which is a doubles, and it's at Wildberry Fields, which is our local, kind of permanent course. And I played with Pastry Dice, so Dylan from Pastry Dice. We were both sitting there, and he's like, "No, I don't have a partner." And Ryan looks over and he's like, "Hey, you needed a partner too." And I was like, "Well, I guess it's not sanctioned. I can play." And he's like, "Well, you want to play?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's play." And we ended up coming in second. Never played together. And
Nice.
he's like an MA3-ish player,
Sure.
MA2-ish player. And I'm MP40, MA1, caliber is probably where I'm at. And we actually did really, really well. I mean, not too bad. I think the first round we were 6 under, and then the last round we ended up being 8 over, which was hot round for the last round, but we were still 5 behind the winners.
Yeah.
And which were 2 Tour Disc Golf. Well, 1,
Matt.
yeah, Parliament
Yeah.
member. So, but I guess his partner was hitting putts from like 70 out. Like if it was
wow.
within 70, he wasn't missing. It was incredible, is what he
Holy
said.
cow.
Yeah, it's that first round, but they went 11 under on the first round, which is a great score.
That is good.
Great score. So,
Why do you suck?
so I suck. I think my biggest thing was,
Excuse me.
I'm trying to. It was a form issue for me. I couldn't hit my angles well.
Okay.
So I was hitting angles, but I wasn't trusting the disc. The second round, I just kind of like popped on. It was good to go. All of a sudden, it like kind of everything clicked with me. But the first round, I just wasn't able to hit my angles well. I bounced the disc off my boob a couple times when I was throwing Annie, like that type of stuff. Just missing form the way you know how to do it, but just something clicks on you. So the second round it came around, but yeah, I would say it was form, just lack of form and lack of angle control is my biggest problem.
Okay.
So there you go.
Well, the other big thing too is like this tournament usually fills up, but it was also the weekend of the Wisconsin Tour finale.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know how many people that drew away from our little tournament.
It
but,
drew away everybody that we would have filled.
Yeah.
All 21 holes, and,
right. Because our card was only 3 people. I know MPO was had 5 people, so they
5.
obviously they played all together, But
Yep.
for the most part, I think a lot of cards were 3.
Well, because we had the 3 open holes, we had 3
Yeah.
ghost holes. So, and the way the divisions lay out, you kind of have to play because you can't have 2 on a card, and then they're trying to avoid putting because because of the cards, you stay with the same card both rounds,
right? Which is fun.
Yeah.
I like kind of playing that way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you have a good group of guys, it's awesome. If you don't, it's kind of agony for 2 rounds,
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Once again, don't let the environment control your outcome. Like you do you and let them be them, and it will be what it is. Wow, that was so prophetic.
Yeah, right.
You do you, let them be them. It will be what it is. That's like a lot of cliche right there. That was a lot of cliche. So, all right. So let's hear it. Thrower Hanger Flipper, what'd you buy?
Let's see. I didn't buy anything, but I got the tournament disc, and I won some money, but I didn't use it.
You didn't?
No.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So I think I got $17, and something I was looking at getting an Alien. Like I wanted to test it out, but I didn't end up picking a one up. But the tournament disc I got was a compass.
Okay.
I forgot what the plastic is.
It was
Champion? No, not Champion.
We had the Orbit Halo or
No,
the
I didn't get that.
Lucid.
Lucid, yeah.
Or
It was just
whatever
a Lucid
that is,
or whatever.
VIP.
VIP, yeah.
Yeah.
VIP compass. There was a number of kind of cool, nice discs, but I was like, my arm's not big enough for a ballista. Then there's some other things. I was like, yeah, I'll just get a mid-range, safe.
Yeah. I think, there was like compasses, Emacs.
Maybe a Stag.
Yeah, there was Underworlds.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was Stag, but yeah, I don't know. I took one of each to throw in the shop.
Oh, okay.
Because there actually wasn't many left. There was only probably 20 left.
Oh,
So we I took the 11. I took one of each mold and put it in the shop, and then we got 2 for the sponsors, and then one for the sponsor, one for the
pro
club,
shop.
yeah, and then or for the orchards, the golf course, and then the rest went back to Mike. So
Okay.
and I think there was only like 6 left or 8 left at that point. So it wasn't that many discs that were left, but they were good discs. I got the EMAC, the Fusion Orbit EMAC.
Oh, cool.
Or whatever or Supreme Orbit EMAC.
Oh.
Yeah, it had the center of it was like this beautiful purple, and the outside was black. And
Oh,
it was
that's
kind of like
awesome.
a sake bomb. It was like the Raptor Eye almost.
Yeah.
It had that same
Oh, that's
feel
cool.
to it. So
And that was a tournament disc?
it was. It was one of the outliers that were in there that I was able to grab.
Yeah, I must have not seen it or whatever.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, they're there. There actually might be one similar in the shop. It
Hmm.
was like Raptor Eye-ish. It was really nice. And then they had some harps, Orbit Ice harps, which those were beautiful. I was really tempted to grab one of those. I just don't throw those.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, well, it's just going to be another one's going to sit in a
Yeah,
bin, you know,
right.
somewhere. So, but yeah. So, and then I bought from Dylan from Pastry Dice, I bought a Berg X.
Oh.
It is an absolute slob. It is such a pig. It is so Bergs. You're never able to throw Bergs very far. I mean, maybe 250 max for me.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
and this thing is like it wants to get down to the ground in a hurry.
Oh, interesting.
We tried. So I was standing up by, you know, the green that's next to 18.
Oh, is that the disc that you thought I ran over?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
one.
yeah, okay.
I threw it basically as hard as I could backhand.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm like Drew Gibson throwing out there, like, but I have a decent throw. Mm-hmm. I couldn't get it past the second practice basket.
Right, yeah.
Like it was so like there's zero glide to it.
Huh.
Zero glide to it. So I could see how it could be useful as like nice little forehand up. Like I could throw it forehand just as far as I could throw it backhand. But I could see it could be very useful as a nice forehand, you know, and it's kind of what I expected the Berg to be because the Berg for me was a very straight flyer, just dropped.
Yeah.
It didn't really fade either way.
Right.
The Berg X has fade,
Okay.
quite a bit of fade to
I
it.
was watching a Bodanza video the other day, and he did a comparison of the Berg and the Berg X. And for him, I think he probably has a bigger arm than either of us.
Sure.
He said he didn't notice much difference in it.
Oh,
that
geez.
one that might have been maybe a little more fade. But he's like, as far as being straight or like being really overstable, he's like, I see no. But he said I think the depth of the Berg and the Berg X are just a tad different.
Just slightly different.
Yeah,
Okay.
and maybe something with the thumb track might be, or like you know
It
how
did
like
seem like the dip was deeper.
Yeah,
Like the
that could be.
concave was
Yep.
deeper in it. Yeah, and you know maybe that's right. I didn't throw them side by side.
Yeah.
So maybe what I'm remembering is off, but I do remember that both. Well, I had 3 Bergs. All of my Bergs were just straight flyers
Mm-hmm.
and drops. I had a Moonshine, then I had a K1 Soft, and what's their putter plastic?
K3.
K3, and that was what I had.
Yeah,
And all of them were basically just straight to die, and they never faded either direction.
yeah. I don't know K3. Like I haven't thrown a lot of K3. I have a K3 Cax Z, and then I have another K3 disc, but I forgot what it is. And I'm curious how it beats up compared to the K1 or the old K2, which is K1 soft.
Right.
But yeah, I haven't. I felt it. You know, it's like kind of stiff, but like good grip. Kind of like not like Lone. I was gonna say like what's that Lone Star plastic?
Lima, or are you talking Alpha?
No,
Bravo.
the other one that's like a mix between like V2 and
Oh, the one they came out with.
Yeah, I
more
can't think of
recently. Delta.
yes, Delta, kind of similar to that, but maybe not. It's kind of what it reminds me of a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I can see that. So, and big news about Casaplast. Did you hear about? Well, maybe you on the back end it wouldn't matter, but distribution is being pulled from. Not pulled, but their mainline North American distribution is now under DD. So they're going to all come out of Emporia, Kansas now.
Wow.
So availability, I think, will be a bit better now that it's under the DD umbrella and
Got it.
being distributed out of that warehouse.
Well, that makes sense with all the House of Disc news and
Yep.
all that.
Yep, that's exactly it. And House of Discs officially is controlling partner of Discmania.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and I mean,
I think we
knew
talked
that.
about that a little bit last week. Maybe not. I
Oh,
don't-
maybe we did. Yeah.
But like I think it came out last week, but we didn't talk about it, but because it happened during the yeah. We kind of
We've known about it for quite a while. I mean,
Right.
we've known that they're under House of Discs and this whole state
just
of the
kind of-
art. Yeah.
official now.
Yeah.
But they're going to still kind of operate independently as far as like creative control and that kind of thing. As far as like strategies of like pushing out molds and discs, just everything's just gonna be under the big umbrella now.
Yeah. So essentially, nothing changes for Discmania from what they used to do
Right.
compared to what they now
Yeah.
do. Like nothing has ever changed. They just had this, UC put this twist on it, like he's in control now. He never was. Well, he is. And he was with Innova.
Yeah.
And he was with, every other people but he still has to battle for press time. He still has to, so.
You know why he sold out?
Do you want to say it out loud?
I talked about it a long time ago. But,
Go back a couple episodes.
lawsuits.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. I'm
wonder
not
if-
saying that, but
I wonder if that is, though. I mean, wonder if there's some influence, or is it just the market is dictating that
yeah, maybe.
that they put in the money at the wrong time and kind of the plateau hit.
Yeah. I don't know, that could be. But you
Or,
do see,
or it could be hookers.
yeah. But you do see, like, now, obviously, this we are talking about disc, the dynamic discs coming out with like the ice plastic, and that's the plastic that Discmania has been using, is that more clear, translucent, champion like color plastic, and that's what a lot of the dynamic discs are now. It's like, oh, we got the Orbit Ice or just ice discs coming out.
So it was, who was it? Joe, me, like Joe Paulson, me.
Yeah.
I can't remember
Kevin?
who else was. No, it wasn't Kevin.
No?
This was well before Kevin.
Oh, okay.
And it was someone else. And it was when Discmania was doing this whole Italian blend. Blah,
Oh,
blah, blah.
right.
They were doing all that
Yep.
stuff. And we had a order of trespasses that had come in. And we were holding them up next to the new Italian plastic from DD,
Yeah.
from Discmania. And we're going, there is not a thing different between these two things. And we were just like, the entire time, we're just like, they're molded in the same factory. They have to be. It's the exact same plastic feel. Like,
Right.
we couldn't tell a difference between the two of them. And I still have that trespass, like one of the trespasses that was that Italian blend. And now they all look like it. Every Lucid that comes
Yeah,
out,
pretty
it looks
much.
like it. But it makes sense, but marketing genius, like he sold everybody and told everybody that we are independent. These are our machines. We're building a factory, when the entire time it was Latitude 64 and House of Discs, but he just he put that marketing spin on it that was absolutely beautiful and created this frenzy for him,
Sure.
So,
Well, I think it was going to happen either way, because a lot of
sure.
Discmania people were going to get them anyway.
oh, exactly.
No matter what.
Yep.
They were just looking for those new originals rather than the evolution. And so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they fell flat with some of their plastic blends from, like Yukon, like beautiful plastic.
oh yeah.
But the molds just never took off.
But now the Yukon discs are all the Prodigy.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
and Prodigy, apparently they got that figured out, so
Yep.
it's all, that's all funny how things kind of rate themselves.
It's not as big of a world as you think it is.
No.
It's not as big of a world as you think it is. I mean, we've talked about the Walmart of discs,
Yeah.
and it's not as big of a world as you think it is. So the one that I'm curious, and near and dear friend like Bobby, we talk all the time. I wonder how long Clash is going to stay independent, if they are still independent, or if they are independent. From what I understand, they have their own factory.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole story about the Nokia plant and all that
Right,
stuff.
right.
But I mean, they're right in the right in the grasp of House of Discs. Like, that's their realm and that's their area. And so I wonder if Clash will pull in, because
That's
Clash
like the
is
biggest monopoly I can think of.
absolutely within discs. I mean,
Yeah. That'd be crazy.
yeah. And Clash's plastic is some of the best plastic I've felt. This isn't just talking it up. Like, some of the newest plastic we've been pulling in is just magnificent. It's so good. So good, in my opinion. But I could be wrong, I guess.
No, I think it's growing fast. I think a lot of people are gravitating towards it.
Yep. All right. We want to move on to some other fun and exciting stuff. So I think we're going to do a little expected player moves. And we've already talked about some of this stuff on the last episode when Ben was with us. And I'm sure we'll talk about it again the next time we have an episode. But we'll kind of go over some expected moves, and we'll just kind of give the outline, and then we'll talk about any others. We'll talk about the very first move already that's happened. We're going to talk about the DGPT in Euro. And we're going to talk about CBS. And then, got anything else we're going to talk about?
No, that was pretty much all I had down.
Cool. So then we'll do some shop updates after that. And then, random question. Hope you're ready with the random question.
No.
So this episode has been postponed twice. That's the reason Ben's not here, because I don't think we even bothered to tell him.
Sorry, Ben.
And they record tonight. Well, they
Well,
usually do.
we thought they did.
Yeah.
So we weren't sure.
Yeah, there's all those things going around. But like we postponed the recording to a night that Ben couldn't do it. And then I didn't want to do it and I wasn't feeling well the night we postponed it to. So I just like, hey, what about today? And it worked out for us. So we just jumped back on the mic. So
Like old times.
like old times, exactly.
Back on Wednesdays.
That's right.
Yeah.
Forgot about
Well,
that.
we're not back on Wednesdays, just this episode.
Just recording on
Just-
Wednesdays.
Yeah.
So, and then, I guess you guys are here this Thursday morning, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Competing with like Smashbox or whoever.
Yeah, with everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah.
But ours is considerably shorter than Smashbox, that's for
And
sure.
Tour Life.
And Tour Life.
Yeah.
Well, Tour Life sometimes it is, sometimes it's not.
I guess. Yeah.
And it seems like every time I want them to talk more, they don't. And then there's other times I'm like, I just need to listen to something else. It's just, I love those guys, but all right. So let's talk moves first. I'll just give you a quick list.
Yeah.
And these are kind of the more anticipated moves. People are looking for them to move and where they're going to move to if they move. So Gannon from Prodigy, Gossage from Discraft, Matteo Westside, Bradley Williams to Innova. Now, Bradley Williams is kind of a controversial one. I don't know if really, does he have that type of pull that people are really expecting him to move, or?
He is somebody who I consider can easily be like a top 20 disc golfer, or he's in like that. He's somebody that's because like he obviously won Preserve last year, so like he's got that capability of like winning big tournaments and like being relevant and everything.
Right.
And he's gotten a little better on social media and everything. He's got Squatch as his bag sponsor and everything. So I don't know if he does enough to like market himself, but he's fairly relevant.
Well, and his lady is Prodigy. Is that
Prodigy,
right? Yeah. So, I guess so.
Yeah.
So, but he's currently with Innova, so who knows where he's going to go. Clemens with TD, Amanda Hano with Discraft, and then Haley King with Innova. So those are kind of some of the big movers that I would expect are going to be moving. Bradley Williams and Clemens are probably just on the list because, but I think Matteo's market share is up, Gossage's market share is up, and Gannon's market share has always been up, but he's been sued, so
Right.
he had to wait.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Is there anyone else that I left off there?
There's that whole list of like, did we list Holland Hanley? Because she has her
right.
1 year deal is up. And obviously from winning Throw Pink, that's a big deal. Like the Matty O one is interesting to me because obviously he has first tour win. Westside doesn't have anybody else.
They don't.
You know, they have Sayananda, which she made a big splash this year.
Yeah. But then kind of disappeared.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I was looking at DGPT rankings, and she jumped. I think she was 50 something in terms of rank last year, and she jumped up to like 22nd this year or something like that. Like that's a huge jump, and that could be mainly from her winning Texas States. That could have been a large chunk of points or whatever, but you heard her name a lot, or a fair amount. Chris Clemens' girlfriend, Hannah Wynn, she's on West Side, but their market share, we've always called them kind of the redheaded stepchild of Trilogy. I think they need to keep Matty O. He is face, and I think he did well with them. Like Ben kind of touted him as being the most improved player this year for MPO, and I think consistency with discs from House of Discs, taking over and just vibing with the plastic. I think that's good for them, and it's good for Westside. Like that's probably the most exposure they've gotten in quite a while, probably since like Nico was there.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
and I don't think Nico was the exposure they really wanted.
Right.
I mean, I think in the very beginning it might have been, but yeah. And I think they do a good job with supporting Matty O. I think the team atmosphere that DD, Westside, Lat 64, the North American brand, I think it fits him very well.
Yeah.
And I think he, if you were to just say Matty O, that's who I'd put him with the trilogies.
Yeah.
I don't know where I would put him, but
I know.
he just fits in the trilogies, But then again, kind of old school, like he used to throw the Cenas all over the place when he was with him before, What was it with Lat 64 before, or was he with?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think he was with Lat.
I think so.
But, I think he, we'll just roll with that. I'm probably wrong, but yeah, I mean, he just fits, like when he was with Prodigy, it just seemed off to me. But that's also biased because I'm not a fan of Prodigy.
Right.
So we'll continue with that. And I think it's really funny while I was at the tournament, how many people would just bring up Prodigy in front of me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. they were just like, we should give these people Prodigy, right? And they'd look over at me and I'm like, do you really want Prodigy? There was so many references. It was really funny.
That's
actually.
funny.
So and then the other one that is not on this list, but I think I'm going to keep him out there is Brody. And Brody's up for contract this year as well. So
Interesting.
I think those are some of the big movers out there that I think all media outlets are going to keep an eye on. And I'm excited because I think all of them, there is a possibility of movement.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think, Clemens and Williams and Matty O, I don't know if I see him going anywhere else, but there's not anybody else on that list that I don't see going somewhere.
I know we've all said, like, I kind of think that Prodigy kind of remedied some of the stuff with Gannon, but I think just in the back of his mind that what happened so early in the season with getting sued, you're like, you're really going to do that to me?
Right.
I'm gone. Yeah.
So, like a cut will heal, but there's always a scar there.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that is always going to be in his mind. So I don't know if there truly is a way to heal that. Like there's not enough vitamin E and aloe that'll heal that scar.
Well, and I know he does it every year, but Ben posted that picture in our group of him selling off like I think it was a certain run. Like it was like it was like a 2017 run or something of whatever it is. He does it every year. Like he sells off certain amounts of plastic, whatever.
Yeah. He did it last year too, but he did it last year
with
before.
the intent of moving on. So
yeah.
It'd be interesting to see. He'll probably get stuff from a sponsor, but if anybody reaches out to anybody like looking for plastic or what the situation is, who knows how long it'll take for him to announce that he's officially leaving if he is too.
Exactly. I'm sure it won't be till January at least.
Right.
And we'll see. I'd love to see it sooner, but it won't. There's too much history there.
Yeah.
He'll probably be one of the later ones to announce.
Yeah.
Because I think the team that'll pick him up as well, or the manufacturer that'll pick him up, they're going to walk on like eggshells too.
Yeah. Right.
They don't want to be drug into it.
No. Because even last year, I remember Calvin renewed his contract. Kyle Klein signed his extension, and those things happened in the summer, but you didn't hear about them until December.
Yeah, they didn't announce them.
Right.
Yep. And I'm sure a lot of that's happened too. A lot of that's happened. So I don't know. I'm excited to see it. This is kind of my favorite part of the season.
Yeah.
I love watching players. But I really think I would love to see this whole, let's put some timelines on trades or on moves.
Yeah, like the transfer window kind of situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's do that. And then let's put out some sort of free agent window, there where someone can move last minute if they want to.
Yeah.
And I just, it creates so much drama and excitement.
Well, it's one of the biggest talking points of the year. Obviously there's winning majors, winning elite series, that's big talking points, but the player speculation, that's definitely the
absolutely
big part of it.
Because with the player speculation comes, what do they throw? How are they going to throw it? What's their bag build going to be? And then we can have whole discussions on this is what I would put in his bag.
Oh yeah.
It's fascinating to think about it. And then to see how wrong you are,
Right.
So for me, when Paul went to Discraft, I was like, Comet all day. He's going to love that disc. He said it was the worst disc he'd ever thrown.
That's crazy.
I know. Because I was thinking Nova, he threw it like a dart. And they fly very similar, but Comet and him did not agree with one another. So, plus he had the Luna, and he was
Yeah.
throwing that thing all over the place. Still
Right.
is. So, you want to talk about the change or the move that's already happened?
Yeah. So, early last, well, I think it was like midweek. Carter Aarons, who's a player out of Washington, he's 16. He was on team Dynamic Discs for a number of years. 1,000 rated player, just over 1,000 rated. He announced that he was leaving Dynamic like earlier, like maybe the week prior to that.
Right.
And kind of in a weird, like, kind of like, not, I don't want to say hasty move, but like the season hadn't, like maybe he was done with tournaments, but like things like officially hadn't wound down on like the Pro Tour. He played a number of Pro Tour events. Most notably, he got 5th place at Beaver State Fling, and then he got 15th at Portland Open. You know, Elite Plus. And then he had a number of finishes, you know, middle of the pack and some of these, you know, other Elite Series wins, but he ends up signing with Lone Star Discs.
Right.
And we were kind of making the joke that when they announced him signing, he didn't have the obligatory handshake by the door with,
With the
Terry.
Christmas tree in the background.
Yeah. And then like they had a real nice post for him and everything. And then like a couple hours later, it was like, oh, nope, there he is with the shirt and like shaking his hand and everything. And so cool for... good for Lone Star, I guess. You know, having a young player, and basically like Ben and I kind of shared a conversation just briefly. He's young enough where for Lone Star, I don't know how long the contract is, because like Josh has always said 1-year deals, except for I think Nico was the exception.
The exception, yeah.
And so with this move, like if he likes it, great, because you have somebody for the future. You know, young enough where you can build around him, promote him, do whatever you want. For him, if he doesn't like it, and it's only what he's young enough where he has a whole long future ahead of him, where he can pretty much probably go wherever he wants, as long as he does like fairly well.
Right.
You know, and kind of like markets himself out there. I mean, there's a video of him right after he signed bombing a penny putter 400 and some feet and parking a hole. I mean, the kid's got an arm.
Yep. And he's mechanically smooth.
Yes.
He knows how to transfer his power. So he has a long throwing life ahead of him. You know, you could look at some kids like, so if I were an agent, if I was an agent sitting in stands, I feel like I got slobber everywhere. If I was an agent
Like
sitting
Cujo.
in this, yeah, exactly. Well,
Or whatever, Beethoven.
yeah, it's like comes in like
Yeah.
If I was an agent sitting in a ballpark watching players, you know, say all these fictitious or fictional players were disc golfers, Carter Aarons would be someone that I would be like, you got to pick him up, you got to try to lock him in for a long time as a manager.
Yeah.
As a player, and if I was representing him, I would say, don't do anything long term. Take the highest bid you can get right now.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna get big deals.
Right.
And I think Carter Aarons fits into that very desirable, clean, low profile. He doesn't make a lot of splash. He's, you know, very well spoken for as young as he is. He's very kind. People seem to like him. He's good looking. You know, there's all those things that just play so well for an athlete that I think Lone Star is making a good choice. And it seems like DD is just this incubation chamber for all these young players that they put them on the right track, they get them in the spotlight, and then they're gone.
Yeah.
You know, they just can't hold on to them. But smart by the player. You just wish that DD could hold on to some of these people.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And you look at, so not to compare him, but you look at younger talents like a Cole Rodon, like Gannon, Zach Arlinghouse,
Yep.
you know, these kids that are kind of making bigger deals and like making moves on the pro tour. Be interesting to see if and when he makes that kind of bigger jump to being up there.
Well, I mean, and we can't take anything away from, you know, Burr and Gossage and, you know, all those younger folks out there that are 2 years ago, we would have been talking about them just like we were talking about Arlinghouse, you know, and when Gannon Burr burst onto the scene with the Vegas, you know, second place, like everybody was like, who's this kid? but they saw how smooth he was, how long he was, how, just, and he's very kind.
Well,
he's
but I
funny.
mean, like,
he has a good presence. Like,
he went on to win USDGC, so I mean,
he
like
did,
that was a big deal. So-
Exactly,
but
exactly.
he but the Vegas thing was a big deal. Absolutely, him and Drew going down to the wire in the playoff.
Yep.
That was huge.
And that brought big exposure. So, it's really awesome to see a lot of these new kids. But in the same regard, like, and I'm just making this comparison, like, look at what Yuli's been doing this year. Like, look at what Matty O's been doing this year. Like, look at all these old souls, like, still in the game, still playing, still pushing, So, and then we're talking less and less about Paul. We're talking less and less about Ricky, even though Ricky had a standout year.
Oh yeah, he's up for comeback player of the year.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's funny because obviously, like 2 weeks ago, he won the DGP the finale. So,
yep. So, yeah. All right. What do we want to move on to next?
Europe.
Talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So DGPT absorbed the European tour.
Yes, which is kind of a big deal. I mean, there's the Euro Tour and then there's the European Pro Tour, two separate things. So they, came to an agreement. So there will be, hold on, just head it up.
And this won't be independent. It'll run in congruence or at the same time, parallel. So you can choose whether you want to be in Europe or not. You're not going to lose out on points now.
So there's going to be, as of right now, 4 elite events: Copenhagen Open, the Turku Open, Swedish Open, Krokal Open, and then European Disc Golf Festival. And then there are also going to be silver events.
Oh, they brought him back. So
They brought him back
Getting
for
rid of
Europe.
him, but now we're going to bring him back.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. So
makes sense.
That's
We love him. We hate him. Now we love him again.
but only Europeans love them.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
So and then scoring is going to be the same elite events for Europe and DGPT, both 100 points, and then silver events will be 50 points.
Right.
And then these standings will award bonus payouts and help determine the 2025 tour card qualifications for top Europe finishers.
Cool.
Yeah. And then, the other big part of this was Disc Golf Stream, who streamed the Pro Tour, will now be merging with Disc Golf Network to get the European, these events.
That'll be fantastic because their backdrops and their green screens were phenomenal.
True.
I honestly thought they were really good. I mean, corny and hokey, but up a notch. Yes.
Yeah, better than whatever the Tournament Central ones were.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
those. Yeah.
Like where they put the backdrop, making it seem like they were at the event when really they weren't. Like,
yeah. Where you could almost see the halo, like in between their headphones. And
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll discern this a little bit. I think that the DGPT in their next action needs to make sure how they keep the relevance and the importance on a certain handful of events. Because right now, what are we at now? Over 20 Pro Tour events when you include European?
Yes.
Nobody, so their viewership is going to go down. And maybe not across the board because now you have 20 events, but I think each event, that viewership is going to be diminished.
Sure.
Because it's just going to spread it out. You can't watch all 20 of them. Plus, it's you're not going to be able to get over to Europe. So how do you keep the relevance and the exclusivity of a certain handful of events to make them feel like those are the ones that you have to watch?
True. So my whole thing is that these events will probably be congruent with quite a few of the actual Pro Tour events in the United States, where you'll see a lot of the Europeans just staying there rather than coming here to play events.
Agreed.
And like you said, it'll be here's the other thing though is you will have almost 18 hours of disc golf footage on a week, any given day. Because like those European events will start at like a 2 or 3 in the morning, and then you can watch all the way to like 6 o'clock at night almost, depending on where you're at for, for streaming and whatever. And it's kind of like bonus content because I don't think DGN will go up in price.
Yeah, maybe not.
Maybe not. I mean,
Maybe
that's
not.
yet to be determined, but
I think the supply does not, or the demand has met the supply. So I think that cost has to stay where it is, if not come down.
Sure.
Yeah.
The other kind of odd thing about this merger is we might not see some of those other, like when we were going over the Pro Tour, events before, like they were saying, oh, we'll keep you up to date on Europe or whatever. So there's a number of events that we saw this past year that we're not going to see because those were Euro Tour events and not European Pro Tour events.
Right. So they are obviously going to favor the Pro Tour events.
Right.
Yep.
So we might not see, obviously, like Konopiste or...
If it still exists.
If it still exists.
For the 5th year in a row.
Yeah. Or what was the other one? I can't think of.
Was it European Tour? Or European Tour.
Shoot. Yeah.
The one that Nico blew up at. Or was that Konopiste?
No, that was that might have been.
The one Nico blew up.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't Konopiste. It was something else. But
there was something else. I think it was in Sweden. But and then obviously the European Pro Tour will be or the European Championship will include because that was one of the majors. But yeah, I think cool for them for the Pro Tour and DGN and everything. Like that's a good merger. That seems to be a good deal because they'll bring more exposure to a tour that maybe not a lot of people have seen. Like obviously we saw those other events this year, but this is the whole other tour that we haven't seen unless you're really into that.
Right.
So I don't know.
So 2 concerns I have. Number 1 is, do you feel like this is the FPO dilution? That same pattern where they're taking from a very potentially lucrative division and kind of diluting it into other avenues just to try to build those markets. Now, it's worked for FPO. It's worked, semi-worked for FPO.
Yeah.
Do you think that's the same thing that's happening here with the European Tour?
Hard to tell because I don't know on this side of the world, across the pond, as I would say, how many people are that into European disc golf or care enough about European disc golf. I mean, there's a number of names, people like Ben knows, like, oh, Rachel Turton, is that Rachel Turton?
Yeah.
That's her name. She's made a big splash. Silva Saarinen made a big splash this year. She just won a tournament, the tour finale for a European Tour or Euro Tour. I forgot which one. Silver Lot also won.
Right. And you get Tatar, you get Salonen, we still have all those notable names that are here that will probably stay there now for those.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious, right? Like if you're earning the same amount of points and you can be at home, or like maybe they're planning on being at home during some of those events in the United States where they can just earn those points being at home now.
Right.
Makes all the difference.
Right.
And then that's your only spot to see them then. So, I mean, you won't miss out on seeing them is what I mean.
Oh, absolutely not. No. But that's what I'm saying. I mean, are you going to dilute it more? So are you taking this really concentrated, beautiful cleaning product and adding the cap full to a gallon of water?
Right.
You know what I mean?
I don't know, because me personally, I did not wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning to watch those events. Because I had to get up from work.
Right.
So I'm not getting up at 2 or 3 in the morning just to be like, well, I got to watch this or I can catch it later. And I don't know I don't know if Jomez or this other company, if there's going to be post-produced where you can watch it, or if it's like, well, you got to go on DGN later and watch the whole however many hours of coverage to get the full effect.
Right.
I don't know.
I think it's a brilliant move by the Disc Golf Pro Tour. My second concern comes along with that statement. I think it's a brilliant move by the Disc Golf Pro Tour, but I think disc golf for such a long time. Now, this is the old soul in me talking. I think disc golf for such a long time was such an amazing thing because it was ours. You know what I mean? Like it was, you walk up to somebody and say, "Oh, I play disc golf." They're like, "Disc golf? What's that?"
Yeah.
And then you get to have that conversation with them.
Sure.
And I think it's becoming less and less that. Amazing. But on the other hand, it's not ours anymore. It's becoming more mainstream. It's becoming more in the spotlight. It's becoming more popular. It's becoming, so instead of this fringe, my sport, I keep using these very specific vernacular, like it's ours. It's because I feel like the better the Disc Golf Pro Tour does, this is kicking myself in my own butt. I understand this. The better the Disc Golf Pro Tour does, the less it is my sport.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, it does. I mean, because we're seeing it pop up on disc golf, on Sports Center, with the aces or great shot throw-ins, that kind of thing. I'm curious to what people in Europe's perspective is on that, as far as it being my sport, because it was a very American sport, and it's grown. Obviously, Europe has a very big population of disc golfers as well. Right. And I feel it almost feels like a lot of those countries, disc golf could be the main sport.
Exactly.
There.
Yep.
And they've embraced that, whereas it's still a very niche sport here, like pickleball or some of those other sports. I think they have a much bigger sense of community with disc golf. Not that we don't have a big community, but it's not on the level of those sports.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the mentality still comes from a protectionist mentality.
Oh, yeah.
Like where everybody still wants it to be my sport.
Sure.
And I think that's why when you see stuff like this, and understand I'm playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
I own a disc golf business. Like I own a store. I want it to be the biggest thing it could possibly be.
Absolutely.
So when I say these things, it's coming from a stance of the understanding of how people get to that, like, what are you doing to my sport? And I think there is a point where every sport can be too big and too monetized to be really honestly enjoyable. I mean, think about boxing. Like back in the day, I think you and I are old enough to remember boxing as this really fun family event where you would sit down and watch like Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, like some of these old school boxers. And you could watch them without paying $150, $200 to pay-per-view.
Yeah, all you had to have was like HBO.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. And then that happened.
Right.
And I think you and I can also remember UFC. And UFC did not have a pay-per-view model, but they were very quick to adopt it.
Yeah.
But you could still watch like the first, 10 UFCs before, or even probably more than that, maybe
something like that,
maybe 15, 20.
I remember USC had a big presence on Spike TV and a couple of those other things, and then they expanded. They're going to be on Fox.
Yep. Yep. And then they had, I think it was a Speed or something like that as well.
Could have been.
But they had a good presence where you could actually just watch them.
Yeah. Well, and now they've even, they've had a long-standing contract now with ESPN Plus, where they have, Ultimate Fighter? That's still on there. You can get some of the undercard stuff before the fights are on ESPN Plus, but then you have to pay for the main events through pay-per-view with them.
Exactly.
And like even boxing now, like they have DAZN. Like that's like something you have to pay for. And boxing has actually moved away from HBO, Showtime. Like they are no longer in the fight game at all.
Yeah.
But now boxing has become a little more diluted with the Jake and the Pauls or whatever their name, Logan Paul, Jake Paul, and them fighting all these, I don't want to call them washed up, but like former fighters or, UFC fighters.
Washed up fighters.
Yeah, they are. I mean,
they're washed up fighters.
Yeah.
I mean, aside from maybe Mayweather, I mean, that's the only one you could say probably wasn't washed up.
Something like,
Was it Mayweather? No, he didn't fight in Mayweather. What's his name? Why can't I think of his name? I was thinking Mayweather and Conor McGregor.
Oh yeah, right.
But yeah, you're right.
They just had a couple fights just like 2 weeks ago or whatever, and
but honestly, I feel like those guys are bringing boxing back to what it used to be.
It is
that big promoter sport.
It is right, like Golden Boy, like the Don King era, those kind of things.
Yep.
But it's not the boxing, the technicality isn't there, because you see them like Jake and Logan, they train for boxing and they're bringing in these other guys from like other sports like UFC, where it's like ground and pound, like you do have like striking, but then they're on the mat a lot. So
Right.
it's not just stand up, fight 12 rounds. You're going 3 5-minute or five, whatever,
Yeah.
for championship fights. Like,
Well, and you put a boxer on a mat as opposed to a MMA fighter in a ring. There's no comparison.
Oh, yeah.
You put a boxer on a mat, they're dead.
Yeah.
I mean, dead. Like you put Mayweather on a mat
With McGregor.
zero
Yeah,
chance.
exactly.
Zero chance. I mean, and we all know that. And I guess Bruce pulling it back to disc golf. I think that's what we're dealing with right now in disc golf, is that the DGPT is becoming something that, could very potentially slip into the detrimental for the sport.
Sure.
Because everything's behind a paywall and everything is so hard to watch.
Yeah.
And you just hate to see that. You hate to see that being taken away, to grow the sport, because we may think this sport is so huge. It's not.
No.
It is so small. And if we put something behind a paywall, it's just only going to hurt it more.
yeah, how do you get that reach back out once it's
Exactly.
behind something? Like if, right now Jomez is on DGN, you can get it without commercials. Like if you watch it on DGN, but you have to pay for that. You just can't do that. And then, you get the YouTube stuff later. Even like USDGC, it was released weeks after on YouTube. You could watch it right away but you had to wait for that
Right.
free coverage. But there are, there's other companies, there's the Gatekeepers, the Acerons, those, but you're not getting the lead card,
No.
which people want to see.
Yep.
And that's going to be
Yep.
hurting a little bit.
It is, and I think that's the way production goes. But, it's at that weird line right now where I think the growth is happening. Everything's going. The DGPT is kind of making moves that are going to make or break them. Now, what's their response? Like, how are they going to fix or keep true to the grassroots of what disc golf is and still continue to help the sport grow?
Yeah.
And everybody always talks about, well, money is going to help the sport grow. Not really, because the kid that's grabbing the discs from the bin at the school and going out and throwing for PE class, they could care less about the money in disc golf.
Yeah.
What they care about is whether the sport's fun or not, and whether their buddies like it or not, and whether they can go in and talk about it like they talk about what Mahomes did, or like what Favre did, or what. That's what they need.
Yeah. Right.
They don't need a paywall.
Yeah.
So just my thoughts.
Well, as long as we're talking about exposure, let's bring up that there's an agreement reached with CBS Sports and the Pro Tour to produce. They did this a number of years ago with ESPN, where they took a number of tournaments, had shortened them into 1 hour shows to fit it within their programming, and so it sounds like they're going to be kind of put in like a prime time situation, like 7 o'clock, that kind of hour, but they're putting it up against, from what I have heard, something like Monday Night Football, or like,
Okay.
like things that are like going to be drawing bigger audiences. And let me just bring that up real quick.
And disc golf will not compete with that. But if it pulls a decent amount of numbers,
Right.
like,
So here's my whole thing is, so we saw this when they did it with ESPN. Everybody's getting kind of like, oh, disc golf's gonna be on ESPN. It's gonna be really great. And then they took our tournaments, and I don't want to say watered them down, but it kind of in a way, because they wanted to appeal to that larger audience that didn't know what disc golf is. Where you have to do that, but you also have to keep the attention of the more seasoned disc golfer.
well, and they even dumbed down the commentary. They actually had to record separate commentary for it. I don't know if you know, back in the day, that the Emporia, they did that short-term one with CBS Sports.
Oh,
You remember that?
yes.
But Didi paid for it to be on a time slot.
Right.
And I think this is different now.
It's a bit different. Yeah, so there's going to be 1 hour programming of multiple events with 3 events already locked in, more on the horizon. There's going to be select moments from the Pro Worlds, USDGC / Throw Pink, and then the tour finale. And the broadcast will actually be produced by Jomez and DGN.
Okay.
And it just says, will be added at a future date. The dates are November 13th, November 27th, and then December 11th, all 7 o'clock Eastern on your whatever your channel is for CBS Sports. And that's pretty much what it says. New venture with CBS Sports is a continuation of efforts to bring disc golf to a wider audience. This is according to Jeff Spring. Our core commitment remains with our live broadcast and Disc Golf Network and our subscribers. But this paves the way for an even brighter and more accessible future for the sport. And we're thrilled to be expanding with CBS. It's pretty much, that's the short of it. And so, I mean, great. I think CBS Sports, I don't watch a ton of it. I don't think it has as big of a reach as ESPN does, but ESPN has also been losing subscribers and everything. So
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes.
Right. And CBS Sports is kind of, they're going to hit the, I've always thought of CBS Sports as grandma and grandpa sitting at their, lounge chairs, their recliners.
I see it as a lot of people tuning into it for kind of regional action for whatever team they're looking for.
Yep. Yep. High school, like all that stuff.
Sure. I think
they usually have
it's
some
got a
that
lot
stuff.
of range for that kind of thing.
So I think that's going to be one of those that is going to be a beautiful fit for disc golf.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I mean, ESPN is great, but people are just going to go get something to eat when disc golf is on with
Yeah.
ESPN because they're looking for highlights, sports updates, watching the ticker. I think CBS Sports is a different, maybe not that much different of a crowd, but it's a different crowd.
It is. It doesn't seem. I shouldn't say this because they have college football, but they don't have NBA. They don't have MMA.
Right.
They don't have hockey. As far as I know, they don't have hockey.
They got cornhole.
Okay.
They got cornhole.
Big. So it's like the Ocho.
Yeah, exactly.
Under a different name.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they got some, I think it's a demographic that will do well. And from what I've learned of, the time with working in the shop and then listening to the folks that work for us in the shop, it is very much a, hey, I know someone that does this.
Sure.
My grandkids, my niece and my nephew, my son, that's a lot of what I hear when I'm in there, but it's also what I get feedback from our staff. So, I think it's great because that's the crowd that CBS Sports is, in my humble opinion. Because I think, you put Barstool Sports or ESPN, those are players, active, young, more vibrant. I don't think you're going to see a lot of those older generations, as much,
Sure.
as far as the congregated and condensed versions. So I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be awesome. It's only going to be good for the sport. So,
One other, I don't know if it's weird or if it's cool to say.
It can be both.
It could be, yeah. Prodigy reached a deal with the NHL to be the first spot. How they word it? It was the first disc golf alliance or partnership. And so basically the first thing they're doing is they're coming out with black PA3s that look like hockey pucks. And then I don't know.
Blackhawk stamps on them too.
Yeah, they're going to have team stamps on the discs right away. I don't know how many teams right away they're going to do, but it looked like they had about 8 or 10 maybe ready to go, right away. Cool if you're a big hockey fan and you're like, hey, okay, I can get I don't know how much Prodigy will get promoted at an NHL event or what the deal will be. Obviously, this is probably from Kale being in Minnesota, being close to the Minnesota Wild, having a good connection with them. And it's an interesting partnership, and I just don't know how it fits.
Think of the fans though.
Right.
The casual fans Like, think about a thing that you can go out with your buddies with a 6-pack of beer
Well, yeah.
and BS and call each other names and, do the things that guys do.
Sure.
Who are the people sitting behind the glass? Those are those guys, right?
I guess. Yeah.
I mean, maybe not at NHL games, but for sure at any other game. Like, you go to the, why can't I think of them? The hockey team here in Green Bay.
Oh, like the Gamblers.
The Gamblers, yeah. Like, you go to the Gamblers and, like, that's who's there. Like,
Sure.
dudes that can drink and say some fun stuff.
Yeah.
Let's put some discs in their hands. Why not?
Yeah.
Like, we need it all.
That sounds like a crowd that would be pretty fun with guts.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's true. But we could always put PA3s in their hands and let them play.
Yeah, that's true.
Let them play guts. So,
Here comes my Blackhawk disc guy. Yeah.
I think it's cool. It's innovative. Well, maybe kind of innovative. I don't think anyone else has reached, agreements with
I mean,
national sports teams, right?
no, I mean, NHL, like, that's, I would go probably NFL, MLB, or NBA, hockey, soccer, like MLS. Like,
Yeah.
that would kind of be the tier.
Right.
So, I mean, that's major. Like, that's big
That's
as
pretty
far
big,
as
yeah.
marketing, yeah.
I mean, the exposure itself is. The exposure's there. I don't know if they're going to carry them in the stadiums, in the arenas.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
That would be great if
Yeah.
you see that. I think there's a lot more exposure that way. If it's just that, hey, I can use these NHL,
Yeah.
trademarks to put on them, then
It would just be funny, like, oh, this company's making extra large hockey pucks now, right?
Exactly.
Kids are bringing them home, trying
why
to
is
like,
it
slap
hollow?
shot. Yeah.
Can you imagine the trick shots that are come out of those?
Oh
though?
my God.
Dude, have you seen that guy that does it from a hill? Like, he has the baskets and then he like sits up on a hill.
Yes.
He was doing some shots with hockey sticks.
That's right. I
It was
saw that.
awesome.
It
I don't know
was.
who it is, but kudos to you if you listen.
I remember seeing that guy. Yeah, he had the basket, and then I don't know if he had plywood down
Yeah,
or
like a
whatever,
piece
so
of
he could
plywood.
slap shot it. Yeah, I do remember seeing him.
Yeah, it was really awesome. And talk about dedication. Like, that's why there's zero chance I would ever do a trick shot video. I don't have that patience.
Right.
I'd like throw it like 5 times and be like,
I'm good.
I'm going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Talk about dedication. We were trying to be all inspirational at the beginning of the episode. And we end on, I would never do that. It's horrible.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else we want to talk about before we get on to the closing?
No, I don't really have a random question right now.
No random question?
No, I'm sorry.
All right.
That's disappointing.
If you were to only be able to eat one candy for the rest of your life.
One candy.
Wait. One Halloween candy for the rest of your life, what would it be? Since we're so darn close to Halloween.
We are close to Halloween. It's boring.
With the apples with the razor blades?
Well, I can eat those for hours.
Yeah, hours.
I was gonna say
It's
candy.
the irony flavor
Yeah.
from the blood that
Yeah.
makes it.
I was gonna say candy corn, but I don't really enjoy candy corn.
Candy corn, let's be honest. Candy corn is just as wholesome as the like foam fruit that your grandma puts on the counters for decorations. They probably taste the same.
Probably.
Candy corn is gross.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. I don't know. Like kids get like Skittles probably. Like
We'll get little bags of Skittles.
Yeah.
All right. That was safe. Smarties.
Smarties.
100% Smarties. And if they're really cool, you can get the Smartie lollipops. Have we seen those ones?
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like a Smartie on a stick.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
sir.
have. What are they? Are they called like Choop Choops?
I know there's Dum Dums.
Wait, which ones are those?
Those are the little suckers.
Oh yeah, those. No, they're kind of like I think they're like the sweet tart or sour, whatever. Like it's got like two. That's like a stick, but it looks like a UFO on top.
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
I
They're
don't know.
called. I just call them Smarties on a stick.
Okay, that could
Yeah.
be. Yeah,
Those are good because the stick never stays in them,
yeah,
so it's just a giant
Yeah.
Smartie in your mouth. They're a little harder though.
yeah. I like a Tootsie Pop too.
I love Tootsie Rolls
Yeah.
in general. And
Yeah.
by the way, Bobby, the last time we ordered from Clash, threw a ton of candy in the box.
I saw him make with a video where he's
so
like,
great.
"You get some," like he's just splashing it.
Yeah.
I think it was with the candy orders when like
I think it was,
Yeah.
yeah. So we ordered a bunch of candies for the shop, and he gave us a bunch of candies.
Oh.
And like Kevin unpacked them, and I was there when, and he was like, "Man,
Nothing.
there's a bunch of candy in it." And I came back, and there was only like 3 Tootsie Rolls left.
but
I was like,
nothing but wrappers all over.
perfect. Yeah. I mean, there might have been. I didn't
Yeah.
see him though. But yeah, there was like 3 Tootsie Rolls left. I was like, yoink.
Yeah.
Take these ones. But yeah, so all right. Well, shop update. Yeah, we got Clash. We got Innova is officially in and on. So we got like Aliens, a bunch of Halo stuff. We stick to some of the what I'm gonna call like legacy molds.
Yeah, there's like some Leopard 3s or something.
Yeah, like Leopard 3s,
Valkyries?
T-Birds, Valkyries, like a lot of that stuff. Some of the stuff that really makes them them. We did bring in some of the new stuff like Hawkeyes. I thought I brought in It's, but I guess I didn't. But we brought in Aliens. We brought in, some of the newer stuff that's been coming out. No Rolos.
Oh, that's the disc I was going to ask about, the Rolos.
No
Yeah.
Rolos. But if everything goes well and we continue to sell what we sell, we will probably update some of those molds as well, pull those in. And then we still got a few of the hexes left, the Halloween hexes. And I think,
Nomads.
yeah, Nomads,
Proxies.
the Proxies, the Craves, and the Wolf. Those are Wolfman Nomads, right?
Yeah, the Nomads are-
Those are really good looking stamps.
Yeah, they are.
Really good looking stamps. The Crave stamp. Did you like take a peek
Yeah, I
at
have
it?
one.
It's a bit weird with him in the background, kind of on her leg.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird, but it's a pretty cool disc.
Well, like, is it supposed to be a zombie like coming up and like getting her? Is that what it is? Because like I was thinking of like Crave. It's like you're gonna like trying to eat brains, and then like
it
they're
looked more of like a subservient, like
or like he's hiding behind her, like 'cause
yeah,
he's scared.
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember seeing commercials with James Conrad for the Nomad and then Sarah Holcomb for the Crave, and like the Conrad one I got, and like the Sarah Holcomb one, like they're in the warehouse and like something happened. I was like, I don't know about this, but
Yeah, yeah.
whatever.
It was, yeah. The stamp. I mean, it's a cool stamp, but it's just whoever it is, the guy,
Yeah.
and I think it's her husband, right?
Yeah, husband or
Yeah,
partner,
boyfriend,
whoever it
yeah.
is. Yeah,
It's like this, like this very subservient position.
what was I trying to think of? Oh, do you ever? I think we talked about Adventures in Babysitting.
Yes.
Okay, so there's her. I'm trying to think of. There's another movie of like, like someone's like standing. It's like a movie poster. Like a lot of people do it. Like they're standing, and then there's like somebody like laying up against them, like
Yes,
up against their
exactly.
like that's the kind of thing that they're going for.
Yes, yes. It's like every romantic novel that has Fabio on the front of it.
Pretty much. There's some damsel like holding onto his leg, like
oh, and
yeah.
his beautiful blonde hair is flowing in the wind, and his chest is out. Yeah. Well, I think there was an Evil Dead poster that was the same way.
Oh yeah,
Where
absolutely.
Axel,
Army of
Axel-
Darkness.
Yes, and they're kind of like on his legs.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, with that being said, any words of wisdom to leave us on?
No.
No. Okay. The one I got for you is if it itches, it's too late to wipe.
Oh my goodness. Oh.
Right?
That's trouble.
It's true.
Yeah.
You think if it starts itching and you wipe, like it's not going to do anything. It's still going to itch.
Right.
The only solution is shower.
Yeah. Okay.
So, all right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Why do I feel like I leave you speechless with these?
Well,
A
it's
lot.
just it's the image.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the purpose of it. You gotta, like, I'm not all about taking. I love to give as well. So
I'm a giver.
100% a giver. So with that being said, keep it subpar. And as JP says, deuces in the toilet. Peace.